Are you a practitioner helping families plan for their futures? Do you specialise in trusts, inheritance and estate planning? If so, join STEP, the leading global network of trust and estate professionals. Whether you're an expert or just starting out, we're here for every stage of your career. Trial the STEP Journal for free at www.step.org/today and see what membership can offer you.
You're listening to the Today's Wills and Probate podcast, one of the leading sources of information for the wills and probate sector. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up to our free newsletter at todayswillsandprobate.co.uk and follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Hello, welcome along to the latest Today's Wills and Probate podcast. Today I'm delighted to welcome Elka Goldstein onto the podcast from Sort and Store. Elka is the founder of the business, and you'll explain it an awful lot better than me, but it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's very Ronseal. You sort through a property, if perhaps it's a probate property, you store it on behalf of the executors, and you do an awful lot more around that as well. But I'll let you explain that, Elka. Thanks so much for joining the podcast.
Hey, David, thank you so much for having me. And yes, I'm the Elka Goldstein. I'm the founder of Sort and Store. I love how you said it. We are exactly what we say on the tin. So we're a London-based estate clearance service, but with a twist. We don't just clear out the estates and the homes, we actually digitize the entirety of their contents into a private online library. So from there, families can decide what to keep or what to donate or pass on without the emotional chaos of sorting through everything on day one. We work really closely with probate solicitors and executors and families, really just to make the normally stressful experience a little bit more manageable.
So let's dive into that on a kind of practical level, because we can all talk about these ethereal ideas, but you go into a property, and what you start to sort of photograph stuff and start to catalogue the content of the property for the purposes of probate, essentially.
Exactly. So one real world example is if you've lost a loved one, like we said, or moving a loved one into a care home, you need to sell the property, but it is filled with belongings. The first thing we do is empty everything out of the estate and bring everything to our secured facility. From there, we take photos of everything, all the belongings, and we load them into the family's private catalog. They can kind of go through, like I said, and literally click if they want to keep something or store something or ship it.
So what's the kind of purpose of that, and what's the real benefit to the end user of that process, Elka? Because we could just leave that stuff in there, or we can take it ourselves, can't we, and pop it into storage.
It's true. I think the thing that we're offering the most is there's a way to pause the pressure without losing the legacy, if you will. A family has to deal with whatever situation it is, and suddenly one person has to drop everything, fly in, take time off work, and make 100 micro decisions, all while they're emotionally processing or grieving the situation that they're going through. The idea is, yes, some people take it and just throw it away, which fills up our landfills, or they take it and throw it in storage, and it feels like almost a dread of who knows what's in there and who knows what condition things are being stored in. This kind of takes the pressure off of you, lets you decide when you're actually ready to go through these things. And also lets you decide with your family around the world. It isn't just one person, it's everybody can log in and decide what to do with Nan's favorite blanket. And on the professional side is with probate professionals and executors, this is a clear and transparent line to every single item in the estate. Nobody can argue that something went missing. Nobody can say that they didn't know. No more messy group emails. And this is really a chance to just be kind of transparent with the whole situation.
I think that's a really great point, particularly at a point in time when contentious probate is on the rise, and you may get accusations of, well, you've been into the property and you've already taken something that might be quite valuable, for example. Do you find that this service just helps to prevent that from happening?
I do. And like we said at the beginning, the first thing we do is empty the estates. And I think that lets us come in kind of as a neutral ground, allowing the solicitor or the executors to see access to everything as well as the family really keeps everybody on the same page and everybody kind of has a peace of mind.
Where did the idea come from then? Because as I say, this isn't a particularly complicated concept, is it? But the fact that this is going to be digitized and sort of almost presented, as you like, as a digital catalog, that's quite different.
It is. I've seen a few friends go through this a few different ways of a parent who's suffering from dementia and people who've, lost a loved one in a different country. I think it hit really hard to see you have to deal with all the logistics and then the emotional stuff. Going to my family's house, I feel like smells are even triggering. And, some things are happy and some things are, different memories. And again, being able to kind of take a neutral attack at it and remove everything from the estate, let you really think, hey, do I need 40 of my dad's shirts? Maybe I do. Maybe I just need one and I'm okay to donate the rest. I think for me, I enjoyed having a little bit of peace of mind and time to process.
And just thinking about how that digital cataloging helps professionals, particularly executors or probate professionals, why is it important that there's a digital record there for the purposes of probate?
I think the best thing is transparency. Like I said, that's the hardest thing. There's no more he said, she said. There's no more admin of back and forth. Also, the family conflicts have really gone down, keeping everybody at the same pace. We organize everything by category. So if the family or the executors want to search like by media or China or artwork, rugs, etc., like the families can quickly filter through and see what they're looking for. They can look at the high resolution photos so that, again, they all know that they're speaking about the same exact item and they're all agreeing on where that item should go. So I just feel like it's a chance to kind of back up the professionals or have the professionals back, if you will.
And this is a relatively new sort of product to market, but you've already sort of done some tech development of it, haven't you? What does that look like? Have you got an app, for example, that you can share with family members? You talked about the fact that you could perhaps select particular items or allocate particular items to people if they were particularly keen on having them from the property.
Exactly. So we email out a link and your family or your group of people who want to view this library, they all create a private login. And so it almost acts like a website that you log in and you're able to see only your family's items. So as we talked about before, you can really organize by category, but once you've selected your item, there's a drop-down menu. So you can choose, do I want to store it? Do I want to donate it? Or do I want to sell it or ship it? And so for shipping is kind of self-explanatory. The selling bit is we work really closely with auction houses or experts to help you sell it, but we don't really engage in that side as much. If they want to sell it, we connect them with different experts or probation valuation auctions so that they can get that done as well.
And then what have you got in terms of the wider service that you provide around how you signpost people perhaps to professionals or to valuers, something along those lines? What do you do with items that people don't particularly want anymore, that kind of thing, Elka?
Yes, we've created some great relationships. First off, with trusted probate valuation teams who kind of come in before we touch anything and give a full evaluation of everything on the estate. From there, like we said, we use moving companies to get everything out. Once you've decided where an item should go, if it's to donate, I actually work really closely with a charity that relocates domestic violence victims. And then if you're interested in selling your item, we work really closely again with experts, with auction houses, just to make sure that you feel connected and supported.
We're talking in the weeks after this Bonaventure fraud case has hit the news, and security, and particularly security around probate properties and families that are affected by this, is kind of a big talking point in this sector at the moment. And I guess it would be remiss of me not to ask you about some of the checks and balances that you might have as an organization around security of instruction. How do you know, for example, that you're being instructed by the right people? And then secondly, actually the physical security of the contents that you might be removing from the property and storing.
Yep. So the physical things are easy. We have, a secured facility that's 24-hour monitored 24 hours. No one knows about the location because we store multiple families' items in the same area. So we really keep it secure and just kind of private in that way. Same for the digital side of things. Any login information that we are covered there, not hackable in that way, but just really keep an eye on our cybersecurity balances as well. So our side, we work closely with the probate solicitors, the executors, and then if it's a family directly that hires us, with our legal team, we have a list of documents they have to show to kind of credit and, again, show us that they have permission to move the items, show us that this is their location or this is their estate.
Where do you think this kind of idea can go? Where does this concept sort of end? This is a relatively new business, but what's the trajectory that you see for Sort and Store, Elka?
I'm as I say, geriatric millennial. I don't exactly know what that means, but I have aging parents. My partner has aging parents, and my friends have aging parents. And I would say I'm not looking to inherit any of the estate. It's almost like a tchotchke hoarding, weird pictures of flowers kind of estate. So I think looking at that in the future of the next 30 to 40 years of people like me not really wanting all of the fancy china or the tables or what it may be, and thinking, how do we keep it out of the landfill? How can we donate it and give it to somebody who really could use a new set of china or, a new jacket, etc. That's my big goal. If we can have some stuff in storage, if we can sort through it and just really cut down on the emotional, pressure of hurry up, let's get rid of all the stuff, let's clear it out. I feel like the connection to the person's stuff is really dependent on the relationship with the person also. So sometimes it is, oh, I'm really mad at this person, so let's clear it out and throw it away as a representation of that relationship. I would love if that would change and we could, again, just kind of rehouse the items.
There's almost an element of social enterprise to this, in that I guess what you're trying to achieve is avoiding so much stuff going to landfill or simply getting thrown away.
Exactly. That, as well as honestly letting people have the space to make the right call about their items when they're ready. I think the emotional bandwidth is really stretched thin with a lot of people right now, and you don't want to make the decisions right away. And I feel like professionals have a lot to keep up with and sometimes end up being the messenger that gets taken out in this sense. So keeping the planet clean and keeping families together.
You've mentioned that time element a few times. I find that quite interesting because your sort of experience is then that the time pressures associated with perhaps selling the property, I guess. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. And especially if it's renting, they really need to get it out quickly. That seems to be the thing that families fight over the most, is what the items are in the house, and that keeps them from selling the property, which postpones everything. So it's almost in their best interest to kind of empty the house quickly so that they can move on to getting rid of the property.
I guess as we kind of move to the end of the discussion, it's just been really interesting to hear you talk about where the idea came from, Elka, how it's developing, and sort of more broadly moving forward, kind of what you potentially see as how people might feel in the future about the belongings that they may well inherit. And I can think of my own circumstances. I mean, my mum and dad are still in the family home, which was 4 or 5 bedroomed, and I am dreading the day when I have to go in and empty that. And I'm sure there are an awful lot of people in a similar sort of position as well. So it'd be great to have you on the podcast, and interesting to hear about Sort and Store as well.
Thank you, David, for having me on the podcast. I really hope that the wills and probate community find this useful and reach out to Sort and Store soon.
The Today's Wills and Probate podcast is available on your preferred podcast provider. It's also available on today'swillsandprobate.co.uk. My thanks to Elka. Thank you as ever for listening, and we'll see you again soon.